Hello, and welcome to the Wellness and Career Preparation for the Dancer webinar series. This is our second webinar in this series, which is Careers for Dance. This is a really exciting topic. At the beginning, I've put together a whole bunch of possibilities that are available to the dancer. Many people think of a dancer being just that, just a professional dancer, but there's so many more careers that are available with training in dance. And I'll take you through some of those so that we can get a chance to sort of see what different kind of career paths there are that are available. And then I've assembled a panel of three different people representing different avenues within the dance field. And while there are only three in this particular webinar, it's really cool to see how three different people are using dance to go on their journey in life. As I said, there are also several different ways that we can think about dance, and I'll take you through those at the very beginning. So, one of the first things someone might think of when they are getting an education in dance is that they're looking forward to being a professional dancer. But what kind of professional dancer? There's so many different kinds of professional dancers. You could be a part of a full time dance company. This is a contracted company that could vary anywhere from all the way to 52 weeks a year, which is a full year contract, to only the without a summer, basically, is one way. You could also have just several weeks contract as you are in a full-time dance company. There are also a variety of dance companies that are out there. It's not just ballet or modern, but there are basically any kind of genre that you can have in dance. There's also a company for that. You could also be a freelance dancer. That's someone who doesn't have a specific company that they are with, but they bounce from place to place and maybe even from genre to genre. It gives a great opportunity for those who may not want to settle on one particular company, but also be able to use their skills in many different forms. Also, getting a chance to sort of guest artist with different companies, a variety of companies. You could also be a Broadway performer. In a Broadway performer, there's lots of different kinds of performers in that. Also, you could have a position in a one particular track. You also might be a swing, which is doing several different tracks. And the person on our panel today is actually exactly that, a swing Broadway performer. You may be a dance captain if you are specifically in the dance form in Broadway. In addition to a musical type Broadway production, there are also lots of different things that are on Broadway. The Rockettes are something that you may be involved with in terms of Broadway production and several other forms like that. You could also be a commercial professional dancer. Those are people who may work in video or music video. They could be working with commercials. They could work on movies, different kinds of ways that we're working within a commercial setting, meaning something that's going out to a public through video or TV or movies, things like that. You might also be a theme park professional dancer. There are many theme parks that have dance as part of the entertainment, and that might be something that you're looking for. Again, the variety of different forms in the way that a theme park is. Many of them will be sort of a musical theater idea, and that's where it's coming from. But also, many do have many different forms of genres. You could also be a Vegas performer. It runs the gamut from a showgirl or show performer to Cirque du Soleil exists in Vegas, and they hire many dancers with Cirque du Soleil. So that might be another kind of form of professional dancer you may do. And lastly, you may think of as a professional dancer in cruise ships, getting a contract on a cruise ship and performing in that way. Another type of career path is being a choreographer. A choreographer would go very similarly to our professional dancers. It may be that you're a resident with a resident company, and that's a full time company. You're working with that particular company for as long as your contract is, which might be a whole year. And you're creating either short or full length evening pieces for that particular company. You could also be a Broadway choreographer, which might be production based. So it may be based on only one particular production for the life of that production. You go in and you start working on that production in the creative part portion of that. Once it's on Broadway, the dance captain will then take over the choreographer's role and sort of look at things and see how things are working and keep it as its well-oiled machine that it is. You might also be a commercial choreographer, very similarly to being a professional dancer in the commercial field. You're choreographing or creating works for whatever is necessary in that way. Same thing with a cruise ship or in a theme park choreographer. It would be similarly to the professional dancer that you are thinking about how you're creating different works for a theme park or for a cruise ship. Or a path you may want to take is an arts administrator. An arts administrator could be an artistic director or an executive director. An artistic director generally is going to oversee all the artistic choices of a dance company, and an executive director would oversee everything. So they're going to take care of the finances, they're going to take care of the scheduling, they're going to take care of the artistic side of things, as well as any other grants that need to be produced, anything that might fall under what needs to happen with a dance company. It may be an executive director. Now, frequently with companies, an artistic director is also the executive director, and they kind of go hand in hand. But some companies have the opportunity and the ability to have both an executive director as well as an artistic director. You may choose to be a dance agent, someone who is finding talent and then marketing those people to get careers and to get the jobs that they want. Frequently, you'll find these in commercial avenues of dance. You might find them specifically in Broadway productions. You're going to find them a little less likely in like a company setting, because hopefully once a dancer has joined a company, they're either going to continue with that company for a while, or they'll know which direction to head if they're going to a different company. You could also be a rehearsal director. Frequently, companies, dance companies, and commercial avenues are going to have a rehearsal director, someone who's actually doing the physical rehearsing of the dancers, who is in there and making sure that everyone's doing what they're supposed to do, and making sure that everyone looks as uniform as it needs to. That would be a rehearsal director, sometimes known also as a dance captain. Another arts administrator type position would be a grant writer, or someone who's taking care of financing. So someone who's writing many different ways of getting money for the company, because that's an extremely important part of what makes companies run, or makes productions run. So writing for different grants. Another avenue of career that you may choose is in the sort of theatrical ideas. You could be a theater manager. Many dance educated people then go into being someone who runs a theater, who's bringing in talent, who's bringing in dance companies, who's bringing in dance performance, and who's then making sure that their theater is known, and who's going to help create what's the season look like and managing it from there. Also, many dancers have become stage managers, those who are running an actual production during the day. Many of those people would be connected to the actual theater, and others might be connected to the dance company or the production that's coming in. Sometimes you may have one that's a part of the theater, and sometimes it may be a part of the company or the production itself. It's the person who's overseeing when you're on stage, when the music goes, when the lights go. Any of those things are what a stage manager might do. In addition to stage manager, you may have production crew. So people who are actually pulling the curtains and who are making sure the music is going properly, and those who are doing the lighting, making sure that the lights go when they're supposed to go. So it's slightly different than a lighting designer, which is my next thing. Some dance people have also gone on to become lighting designers. Really, what lighting is a dance with how the lights fade and how they come up and all these different interesting things. So it's a real easy sort of transition into being a lighting designer. Being able to have an eye for what the design looks like is something that can easily translate into being a lighting designer. Also, you could be a scenic designer. Those who are creating the backdrops and the sets, and those who are creating the overall feeling for a production. You might also consider being a costume designer. A costume designer is someone who's creating the clothes that are going to be worn for a particular production. They may be something very intricate, it might be something less intricate, but it's someone who's actually creating the designing and designing the costumes for different productions. In addition to costume designer, it may be a costume constructor or someone who's someone who's creating the actual costumes. That might be another person who is something to think about when you are thinking about a career in dance that is along with that idea of sewing and creation and how do you put something together. Another possible career path is teaching. Very frequently, dance educated individuals will go on to a career in teaching, and it's very rewarding in the way that you can do that. There are many different levels of teaching. You could be a primary school teacher, so someone who's in the lower levels, maybe kindergarten or even pre-kindergarten, all the way through sort of that middle school time period. You could be a secondary school teacher. This is much more frequent that you're going to find here in the United States, that there are positions for dance instructors in a high school setting. They're less likely in the primary school, but they do exist. So we want to make sure we're thinking about those too. You could also be a college or university professor. With a college or university professor, you can have a little bit a different schooling post undergraduate degree. And so that's where that's going to come in. You could be a studio teacher, someone who teaches at a studio in a variety of different forms. You might be a yoga or Pilates instructor. Many dance educated people have gone into the study of yoga or also Pilates and are excellent teachers at both of those things. Another type of somatic movement and being an instructor in that is something like Feldenkrais or gyrotonic tonics. Those two are also another type of somatic movement, and you could be an instructor in that. And you could also be a personal trainer or a fitness coach. Many people use dance as a tool for fitness, and so that becomes something that they could do as a career. Another path is being a business owner. If you want to not just teach, but also own a studio of some sort, you can do that. There's many types of studios. You could have a dance studio, a yoga studio, a Pilates studio, any of these things that's going to teach dance, you can have a studio to be able to do that. Another career path that one might choose from a dance education is the idea of graphics, meaning a dance photographer or a dance videographer. It takes a very special eye in photography to understand what's going to happen with dance because it is a sport in that it's moving. And many people I've heard and talked to about photography for dance is you have to know ahead. You have to see ahead of what's going to happen in order to actually capture the shot. So it is a specialization, and it's something that's a really important thing for publicity or for creation when you're working with a production of how are you going to make sure that these photographs are taken to keep the the legacy, the historical aspect of this particular production. So there's many different times where a photographer or a videographer would be used. Another aspect is public relations. You might think of different paths within public relations as marketing for dance, possibly fundraising. There's always need for not just grant writing, but also lots of different ways of fundraising. After all, it's not possible really to put on a production without finances. So we want to have to make sure that we're having people who are fundraising, who are bringing in the money in order to be able to put on different productions. A philanthropist, someone who has money and wants to give it and make sure that these different things that they feel passionate about are able to be seen and be used within the world. A producer, someone who is going to look at one particular thing and they want to make sure that that is also being produced, is being created, and they might be the person to bring different other people together, choreographers and dancers, and a director who are going to be able to produce that particular production or company or any other type of opportunity that they might have for dance. A graphic designer is someone who's actually creating the marketing, the way that things look for marketing. It might go hand in hand with the people who are doing the marketing, but it also might be slightly different. A web designer, especially in today's day and age, we need more where it's out on the internet and it's being frequently seen on the internet. So along with that, social media, as we get more involved with social media, it's a super important tool for being able to see what's out there, what's happening. Those are the people who are going to help those productions, those dance companies, anything that you might be doing to then be seen. Another career path is the medical field. When we think about the medical field, sometimes we don't think about dance in particular, but there absolutely are several aspects of the medical field that are super important for having a dance education and a dance background. You could be a physical therapist. Many physical therapists now have an education in dance before they ever become a physical therapist, or even a career performing first before they do physical therapy. One of our other guests today is a physical therapist, and she has used dance to really understand how the body is working and being used within her physical therapy. Massage therapy, also a really important tool for both helping those who are performing, but also to be able to have the body work well and use the body effectively, is the use of massage. And so becoming a massage therapist is something that's very, very frequently moved along in the path of a dance movement person. Another idea is dance movement therapy. And a dance movement therapy in particular is someone who's thinking about using dance for tapping in emotionally, sometimes also even a psychologist in terms of the way that we're working. And they're using dance to tap into the soul. And we really do use the soul quite a bit with moving. And that's a way for getting in there and being able to have that therapy. Another idea is a nutritionist or a dietitian. The people who are helping dancers or helping others regulate their body, understand what nutrition does to their body, and having them help focus into a well-rounded body maintenance way of looking at how you're eating, what are you eating, and how that affects how you move and all the rest. Another career path may be a dance scholar. With being a dance scholar, you might be a dance notator. That's a very specialized field, and it's also a very small field, but in a really important field. So a dance notator is someone who has learned different kinds of notation tools, who will then go into a rehearsal or over the life of a production and watch different rehearsals for this particular production. And they're going to notate everything about the piece that's being created. And that notation will go into a historical file and it be able to go along with some videos that it gets really, really, really great understanding of exactly what the choreographer wanted from this particular production. So a dance notator. Also, a dance writer or a dance critic is something that would be under that sort of dance scholar idea. Many critics are either those who are talking about dance or who are watching dance and then discussing it, and how do we interpret, how do we think about dance in today's world. Another field within the dance scholar idea is dance historian, someone who's continuing to track what has happened within dance and who's continuing to write every story that's going on, and so that we keep dance alive for the next generation. Another idea for a path in careers is um, in the field of idea of competition. There are many different things you can do within the competition field. You could be a competition adjudicator. That's someone who is looking at those who are dancing and who are talking about it. They're telling ideas, they're giving feedback to the performers as well as the choreographers and possibly even the director. Sort of hand in hand with that is a competition judge. Those are who are actually doing the judging, who are deciding this person is first, this person is second, this person is third, and so on and so forth. Another type of competition is being an examiner. Those who train in RAD or also Cicchetti method will go through and they have annual exams that have to be taken in order to succeed to the next level. So someone who is trained in either RAD or Cicchetti, and they're going to then be the one to decide, has this person succeeded to the next level. A competition producer or a festival producer, someone who is going to put together a whole competition, who's bringing in all the different groups that are going to perform, those who are deciding who the adjudicators or the judges are, those who are bringing in lots of different venues, like the venue itself for where it's happening, as well as people who might come and sell things, those who are selling dancewear, selling dance shoes or things like that. Often those come into a competition, and the producer would be one of the people that puts all that together. Same with a festival. A festival might be a little bit different in that it's possibly bringing two people together that aren't competing against each other per se, but that are spending time showcasing their work. But very similar things might happen: a venue, different people who might possibly adjudicate, or the people who are coming in to perform those different things. Maybe the if it's over a longer period of time, getting hotels and things that are in the surrounding area, that's something that they would look at and do. Another career path would be a designer, specifically in attire or in shoes. People who are creating dancewear, there's always new dancewear, there's always new choices so that it keeps it exciting and fun for dancers, as well as dance shoes. Now, as innovations come, many new dance shoes are created. So, creating that and being the designer for that are different ways that people are creating a path in their careers. So you can see there are so many options within the idea of dance education. It absolutely does not need to be centered on being a professional dancer or even being a professional choreographer, but there are so many opportunities within dance. So, thank you so much for joining me. I have such a fabulous panel today. My first guest is Vanessa Figuera, and she is a physical therapist. She has a background in dance, and she started with massage therapy before she went into physical therapy. But that is what her career path is right now. So, that is our first panelist. Our second person that's joining us is Edward Johnson, and he teaches at a secondary school, so meaning high school, and he is in charge of the dance department in the Irvine Unified School District. And he also does many other things with that. He does different musical theater productions, both in the middle school as well as in the high school, and any other things that might be happening as far as festivals or college dance days or any of those kinds of fun things. And our third guest is Alicia Albright. She's a performer on Broadway. She has been in the productions of Wicked, and she was an original member of the Frozen Broadway production. So I thank the three of you so much for joining us. And I'm so excited for you to tell our the people who are watching just a little bit about what your career is like, what is your job and what it entails, and then just a little bit about your own personal background in dance, just so that we can understand what kind of background it is that, at least for you, helped get you to this particular career. So I will start with the question of, tell me a little bit about your job. What do you do? What are the things that are present? What are the things that you experience when you are doing your job? Vanessa, do you want to take it away?
So I'm a physical therapist. I work in a hospital-based outpatient setting. So that means we're connected to a hospital. And I do orthopedics. So that means people that have shoulder pain or have had shoulder surgery. That can be neck surgery or neck pain. I see patients that have hip pain, back pain, knee pain, ankle pain, foot pain, pretty much the entire body. And a few ago, I also started doing women's health. So I also help women who may be dealing with incontinence issues that may be connected to pregnancy or childbirth. And so those are my, that's sort of my passion project. I love working with women, especially postpartum. So that's kind of what I focus on. So it's really, I get to work with the whole body, which is really fun and really exciting.
So I am the director of the dance program at University High School in Irvine. And I've been running that program for, it's been 15, 16 years now. And it's a wonderful program, diverse program of a lot of different styles of dance. We've got some cultural dance from some of my background in dance training. Got a chance to done some swing. We've done some ballet, some jazz, a couple different sections of modern. Have done some Dunham technique, also for my background in training. And we have a couple levels of dance that are taught as part of this one. So an introduction to dance, and we have an intermediate, which only has a prerequisite of the level one. So although it is an intermediate level dance, it has a lot of variety in it, and it wouldn't be viewed as like a college intermediate necessarily. But we have those two levels, and then we have our dance company, it's high school dance company, which is run out of the school as well, and is one class period during the day. I also teach as part of this. I teach one section, actually this year, I teach 3 sections of physical education. And those are just a co-ed PE class, some sports related stuff. And so that's the basics, my overall of my job. Of course, it gets into a lot of other stuff. As a teacher in the district, I actually have access to teaching at some different places. So I've been doing middle school musicals for a number of years. I have done the choreographic direction for musicals at the high school as well, and taught some workshops and teaching at some other studios. So lots of dance permeating the world that I live in right now.
Well, my name is Alicia Albright, and I have been living in New York since 2001, so almost 20 years. And most recently, I was an original cast member of the Broadway musical Frozen. And I was a swing. And before that, I was the dance captain swing of the Broadway company of Wicked. So those are the two biggest things I've done on Broadway. And with Wicked, I was also in the Chicago company and the national tour. But what most of my career has been being a swing or a dance captain. And what that is, some people know about it, but a lot of people don't know about that position. It is so a dance captain is a person who is the liaison between the creative team and the cast. So it's their job to maintain the integrity of the show day in, day out. Because for long running shows, the choreographer and the director come in and set the show, create it, and then eventually they go on their merry way and do other projects. So you're the day in, day out maintenance that's not on stage every day, so you can watch the show, kind of like the mirror that they don't have anymore, or the dance teacher that is watching, making sure everyone's doing the right stuff, telling the story in the right way that serves the story and serves the artistry and the audience. And then also it goes hand in hand. Well, another job of the dance captain is when a person leaves. So often for a long running show, one person might leave to do another show, or if they get pregnant or if they get injured, so they have a replacement come into that position. So it's their job to put that person into the show, which normally means they'll rehearse in a room by themselves with the dance captains and the stage manager until they're ready, and then they have a put-in rehearsal where they might be the only person in costume, everyone else is in rehearsal clothes, and then that night is their opening night. So for shows to keep going effortlessly, there's so many behind the scenes things that happen. That a thing that goes hand in hand with being a dance captain often is being a swing. So swing is someone who understudies everyone in the ensemble. And so they can go on for anything. In Frozen, it worked out to almost 14 different parts that I would go on for at any given moment. There's 10 altogether. And then there's two pop out ensemble moments that I also understudied. Um, and then if that were featured ensemble. So the Anna and Elsa's mother and Bolda who sings Fixer Upper. Those are both featured moments that then go back to the ensemble. So if I did that part, I did their whole, we call a person in the ensemble, it's their track. I did their whole track, all their characters. If the other understudy did that part, it became what's called a split track. That I would do half of one track and then half of the other one when that person went back. So it ended up being all these things. So it's a really fun position, and I've made my career out of it in a way of doing a lot of different shows as a swing. I've swung a chorus line and All Shook Up and Jesus Christ Superstar and a couple of other shows. The hardest part is you're not on stage every day because you're there at any given time to be able to be ready to go on. Because in the long running shows, people can get injured in the middle of a show, or sometimes they might not be feeling well, or sometimes even you could eat something weird at dinner and then suddenly it comes over you in the middle of the show. And so I've gone on mid-show many times. And at Frozen, I was on the 7th floor, and I look like this backstage. And so if I'm on mid-show, I'm like, gotta pin curl my hair and put makeup on and run down 8 flights of stairs because my costumes are in the basement, and then get on stage and look not crazed. So yeah, it's like it's fun for people who can multitask, and you never get bored. And I've never not appreciated being on stage, because when I'm not on there, I miss it so much because I'm in the presence of it, and it just makes me appreciate it and make it that much sweeter. And that I've seen it from every angle, I've done every position. So yeah, those are the two big things that I've done recently, and the positions that I've been in those productions.
So I pretty much danced all my life, probably like a lot of other people in the world, starting really young, like at 3 years old with ballet and tap classes. And so I just danced through high school, mainly ballet. I went to UC Irvine and actually majored in dance and minored in history. And I think my plan was just to probably dance. I don't think I really had a plan after that. After I graduated from college, I did a lot of small little things. I did some musical theater. I danced in a couple of operas. I danced for some smaller modern dance companies in the San Diego, Orange County, LA area. And I was just kind of this free spirit, bouncing around, dancing, performing. I also was a substitute teacher to help supplement my income. So I just was kind of bouncing around doing a bunch of different things. And so then what I did is I started to get into massage. So I went and got my massage certification, and I did a focus on traditional Chinese medicine, and I started doing that as well. So I was dancing and doing massage. I had my own business. I would go to people's homes. I was also working in an acupuncture clinic. So I was kind of same thing, free spirit, doing all these different things. And then as I was doing this, I was thinking, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this forever, if I'm going to be able to do little shows, little gigs here and there, and then doing massage. And I kind of wanted something more, what was the next thing that I was going to do? And so I was thinking about this, and physical therapy just kind of, popped into my brain. I can't say it was something specific that happened. I didn't go to physical therapy. I didn't know someone that was a physical therapist. I just got geared towards that. I don't really know how that happened. And so then I started doing observation hours and just really fell in love with this field. And physical therapists are movement specialists. We really look at the way people move and make sure they're doing it correctly. Just sitting, your posture, the way you do lunges, the way you do squats, the way you walk, everything that you do, that's what we focus on. And I think that's what dancers are too. Dancers are movement specialists. And we're really good at looking at how people move and going, oh, my arm should be like this. My pelvis should be here. My head should be here. We're so specific. And we've been trained to be that way, I think, our whole lives, if you've been dancing your whole life. So I think they really, really went hand in hand. And so from there, I started working towards physical therapy. We could talk more about how I got there as far as schooling, but I started with dance, and then it kind of molded into massage therapy, dance, and then it kind of morphed into physical therapy. But the journey was very long to get to PT school. It was not as smooth as that movement I just did with my hands.
So my background in dance, I actually started doing dance concerts back in high school without the background of dance training. So I actually received my preliminary training kind of on the job. And I definitely would look back at some of those videos of me at that point and put my dancing in air quotes. But I received some early training there, doing concerts, and then went on to UC Irvine as a theater major, wanting to do some dance incorporated into my theater to supplement that, and wound up adding the dance major and studying there. My background in dance, because of the school that I was at, had a very, very eclectic base. So I had clearly training within the UC Irvine program in modern dance with some really great legends in the field. I had training in jazz dance, both in contemporary jazz fields as well as in classic jazz. So some swing and big band types of jazz, 20s and 30s jazz forms. Also had background in ballet from, again, a variety of different styles of ballet. And had a chance, frankly, as a guy, to do a lot of stuff that I wasn't necessarily trained for at that point. And again, as a guy, I had some attention put on me, and I got a lot of one-on-one attention with some things to bring me up to the level to try to, if I couldn't match, at least look a little bit in place on stage. And that was from the very, very start. And the program is tremendous program, and got a lot of really great training there. So that by the end, I actually did fit in the different genres I was doing. But my background there was primarily as a training venue. I went from there to dance with several dance companies, smaller regional dance companies, ballet company, a again a jazz company, a swing company. Got a chance to do all of these and travel and tour with a modern dance company as well, and put a lot of different types of material on stage. So it was wonderful in terms of my interest because I really got a chance to delve a lot deeper into some stuff that was just training up to that point. So got a chance to really feel like what it is like to dance in some high caliber uh, dance pieces for audiences outside of the university. And up to that point, almost all of my experience was doing these different styles and doing these different styles at a high level, but for an audience that might be a little more forgiving. And when you get it out into the world, you get a chance to see that, okay, well, if the audience doesn't like it, they'll tell you, as opposed to they'll understand that you're still a student and just learning. So it was really great for me to get out there and test out material, dance for different groups, and see what worked, what didn't, and how it has to vary on the fly of going, hey, this didn't work. We're changing this part of the piece. So, but like I said, I got a lot of chances to do some very eclectic styles of dance at a high caliber level.
So I'm from Northern California, and I started dancing when I was 5, and also singing and acting, and always did it. And I did a little bit of everything. It was like on the dance team, and in the marching band, and in the choir, and on the drama club, and a cheerleader, and in a hip hop group, and I did all the things. But also, at my dance studio in particular, I was not the best dancer. I was a little fluffy marshmallow kid, and and I wasn't naturally good at it. I was good at emoting, but I wasn't like, I see a lot of these kids that are so incredible. That was not me by any means. Like, I was like, what? But I loved it. And I had one time in my life, my ballet teacher got mad at me because I didn't I missed too many classes because of cheer squad. And so she didn't move me up a level, and I was mad, and I didn't dance for like 3 months. And but the beauty of that moment was I realized how much it meant to me in not doing it for the first time, because I'd done it for my whole life. So I was just like, that's what I do. I go to dance class. And it fueled the fire that never went away of working hard. I'm the only person from my dance studio growing up that pursued it professionally, and the only one who's still dancing. And then I went to UC Irvine, where I had the blessing of meeting you. And I had never done modern dance until then, and then was so lucky to dance with Donna McHale and be a modern dancer and do all the musicals out there. And a lot of the shows we did at UCI were more professional than a lot of the shows I did starting out. Um, and then when I moved to New York, I wanted to be both a modern dancer and a theater person, because I always, UCI did not have a musical theater major, but I was a double with dance and drama. And they had a musical theater honors program that I was one of the first people that was selected. And because I always sang, but dancing was my first love, but I always sang and acted as well. I would consider myself dancer, singer, actor, and which I'm trying to go dancer, singer, actor. But so, and they had a program also at Irvine that was the New York satellite program that would bring you to New York. And New York was always my dream, but it was a little too far away from California. I was a little scared. I didn't even apply to NYU or Tisch or Juilliard. I wanted to, but I just didn't. And so that came there in a safe way, that we came together, we took classes, we saw Broadway shows. So I ended up doing that, and it had a huge impact of me moving here right after graduating. And so yeah, so it's like I had a background in a little bit of everything forever, but really working hard to get there. And I think what that gave me more than anything is I know that I'm not the best at anything, but I know that my heart is in it. And that ultimately that's the most important thing, and that's what I teach to other people. I used to teach little kids, and we'd tap our heart light, we'd take our peace fingers, and we'd go ding 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 to sit up tall in yoga class. And I started thinking of that whole thing, that I tap my heart light before I teach, before I perform. I had 12 callbacks for Frozen, and I tap my heart rate for each one because it reminded me I work really hard. I do all the things I need to do. If it's callbacks with sides and stuff, I prepare myself to the best of my ability. I make sure I can sing before I go in the room, so it's not like the first time it's coming out. Or I warm up my body, I do all the things, and then I tap my heart rate and I let it go. And I remember that the most important thing is that it comes from here. Because there's always going to be someone better. There's always going to be someone taller, skinnier, pretty, whatever. There's always going to be that. But our hearts are pure and are so individual and unique. And when I perform from there, it's even the more joyful for me because I'm not feeling not good enough. I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm just sharing what the gift I've been given. And it was a big shift that's happened to me in the past few years of that. But I think that that's always where I was because I always had to work hard and it didn't come easy. And it just made me love it that much more.
I think my dance background, my movement background really helped me. It still helps me now because I grew up, yes, I'm a dancer, but I feel like, I'm a mover. If you think of it like really organically, like I love to move and I understand. I know what it's like to be in my body because I've spent so much of my life. I mean, really more of my life being a dancer than anything else I've done, even though unfortunately I don't really dance anymore because I'm too busy. But that's inherent in me of being a mover. So I understand movement. And there were lots of times that because we had so much stuff to memorize for school, I would do a dance to remember it. I would, to remember what a certain muscle that I'd be like, okay, so that muscle helps you do arabesque, and then this one helps you do this. And I would always bring it back to dance for sure. And I feel, also just like looking at patients, of course I taught dance for years too. So I see, everything. I know what they're doing. I know what they're moving. So I think even though it took me a long time to get to this point, I wouldn't change anything because I think for me, I'm a better physical therapist because of that dance background, because of that mover background, because just like you said, I really understand the body because I've spent so much time, in it and moving it and being around other people and moving other people, especially when I, got more into modern and we're doing a lot of partnering and lifting and, very organic movement where you're really entwined with someone. And so you just understand the body so much more.
Thank you so, so very much to my panel of just unbelievably awesome individuals to tell us a little bit about their careers and just in some ways get us inspired. It was so wonderful to hear such just wonderful things from these three really, really great people. I really, really appreciate your spending the time with us and talking to us a little bit about your life and about your career. So thank you so, 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 so much. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. And I wish for you and all of your students and anyone watching this that to know that you're enough and know that you matter and that your light inside of you never goes away. As much just like it's a cloudy day here in New York, but the sun is still shining. The sun never is not shining. Your soul is never not shining. Your spirit is never not there, but it gets covered up by stuff. So to know that it's always there and that light that you have and the life that you have makes a difference. And to keep doing what you're doing.
Join us next time for our next webinar. And I hope you've enjoyed this series so far, the wellness and career preparation for the dancer. And this has been Careers in Dance. Thank you.